As I've tried to acquire new DFPlayers for my projects, I found that you might get a variety of versions when ordering from AliExpress or Amazon. Even in the same order, I got two different versions of the product. I decided to do a review of these various players and see how they compare. In the review, there are three MP3-TF-16P, two have the JL chipset, and the third is an MH2024K. For the DFPlayer Mini, one is a DF robot, the likely standard to review by, and the other is a TD5580A. They all seem to use the 8002A amplifier chip. All the test data, command set, and player images are available from my GitHub link below. I collected data sheets for as many as I could and created a table of commands. They all seem to follow a similar set of basic commands with some differences, and the TD5580 has an extended command set. The few commands that are different are the 8, 9 for playback mode and source, and some of the query commands flipped for 47, 48, 4B, and 4C, all hex commands. I also noticed that only a few support the software version command, 46, which is disappointing. It could have been used to determine the DFPlayer type and then run specific software commands for that player. For the review, I was mostly interested in how fast I could play tracks, so I created a DFPlayer test program to see how they all performed. The test first uses the busy line to check and replay. The second part just sends a play command after a short delay. The first one tested is using one of the JL chips, and it performed as expected. I then ran the TD5580 chip, and it performed similar to the others. Turns out 4 of the 5 devices I tested responded about the same. Here is the MH2024K chip, version 3.0. As you can see from the test, it has a noticeable lag. I also had to add additional 120 millisecond delay between commands or some would be missed. The delay for all the other devices was about 150 milliseconds. As I was doing some searches on DFPlayers, I found this analyzer test, so I ran it on the devices. I had issues running with sleep and adverts, so I disabled those tests as they were not of interest to me. Most devices responded well. One surprising issue was with the two JL chips. The older AB version did fine, but the AF that I recently received had a failure in the test track finished callback. This chip sends back a different response than the other. After updating the analyzer program, it worked fine. The only failure was with the MH2024K. It had 2 timeout errors with the analyzer test. I also did not show the DF robot version since it was similar to the JL parts. The test data is included in GitHub. As I was going through this test, I had an idea for a new board. PCBWay sponsored my fab cost for this DFPlayer board, and it turned out just as good as the other one they made for me. My first assembled board was going to be used for an upcoming Halloween prop, but the audio was not sounding right. I converted the board to be a DFPlayer test board instead and found the issue to be the DFPlayer itself. This is one of the version 0.5.1 TD5580A chipset. I also decided to do some current measurements. I figured they would all be comparable. Not really. For the test I used the same soundtrack, volume set to 20, and an 8 ohm speaker load. The results were varied across the devices. The TD5580 and the JL AF24 chipset looked to be the best for battery power with an idle current draw of about 11 milliamps. The DF robot and the JL AB24 compared well together with a 22 to 25 milliamp current. I did try the amp disable on the DF robot and it reduced the idle current by about 7 to 9 milliamps, which is what the datasheet states for the 8002. I also noticed an audio startup delay in this configuration. Then there's the version 3.0, which was not too bad at idle. It really cranks out the power on play. It has both louder and much higher current, so I suspect that the volume settings are not aligned with the others. One anomaly was that this device would occasionally stick at a 30 milliamp current draw. No idea why. My general rule has been to get a player with the blue LED. They seem to work the best. I've read in some chats that the JL chip is end of life, so that may be why there are so many variations and probably more to come. As for AliExpress, Amazon, or eBay, I've had some recent luck finding the JL chips. You just need to look for a recent review that shows the device with the blue LED. It is rare that you can trust the actual images of the product. Of course, you can always get a quality device from DF Robot. I would, however, stay away from any 3.0 device with the MH2024K chip. Here is a slide set of the DF players used in this review. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you to those that have subscribed. Please take a look at my other projects, and if you are not yet a subscriber, please consider hitting that subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.